Very good morning to all of you. And since now the dais is with us, I request President Sri Ramesh Vagasia ji to accompany His Excellency of Zimbabwe, Mr. Peter Hobwani ji, to be on the dais along with Mr. Amit Mulani ji and the people who has already resigned for the dais, Mr. Jaman Bhai as well. So friend, back to back, this is, as you know, that this is an Explore Africa Part 2. Between 7th and 8th of this month itself, we conduct Explore Africa Part 1. And in that first session of the Explore Africa, we were invited Ethiopia, then Lesotho, and one more country, that is Ghana as well, yes. And in this second session, yesterday and today, that's 2 days, this is Explore Africa Part 2 we are conducting. And in this session, we are almost inviting, we have invited and had a session yesterday with the Seychelles. Then we also had a session with another 2 countries. One was Togo and the second one was Algeria, right? And today, the last 2 program, and out of which first, that is with Zimbabwe, in the post lunch we have with Kenya as well, right? So friend, this way we as a chamber tried to connect our entrepreneurs to initially with Africa, but later on, yes, we would like to go towards Latin America, then the upper side, that is Northern America, Europe Union. We also would like to go towards Middle East. We also would like to go towards an Asian countries, Australia and New Zealand. So the dream of Mr. President SGCCI Ramesh Vagasia is that he wants to rotate the entire globe throughout, though the globe itself is around, and he wants to keep everyone's around every time. Sir, thanks a lot. Privilege today your presence, and I request to please start this forum with your welcome speech, Mr. President. Good morning, friends.
Good morning, sir.
Supravatam. Jai Shri Krishna. વર્ષો પહેલાથી આપણે સર વી વેર પ્લેઇંગ ક્રિકેટ સિન્સ લોંગ ઇન્ડિયા ઝિમ્બાબ્વે મેચ એન્ડ વેર getting entertainment and some excitement also to show our skills in the field of cricket ground. Sir, I think now the time is to play a business game. Cricket is one a traditional game which we play and have been read of the championship in the world. So India has a fame with command over cricket. However, we miss sometime દશેરાના દિવસે ઘોડું ન દોડે એવું ક્યારેક થાય. But even we are proud to have our team India on the top on the cricket. But at this moment, by having some remarks on this ખેલદિલી જે ગેમ્સમાં હોય છે, ખેલમાં હોય છે, એવી sportsman spirit that we need to have in business also, and that's why I would like to welcome with a warm feelings our honorable guest today, Mr. Peter Hobwani, the Deputy Ambassador, Head of Chancery, Embassy of Zimbabwe. Welcome, my dear sir, with honor, and our humble feelings are with you to welcome you here on the auspicious premises of SGCCI. The Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry is always there
to explore the business opportunity not on the one side or one way, but bilateral on the both way. India in many countries like Zimbabwe. Our CEO of Mission 84, Mr. Paresh Bhatt, our young and enthusiastic ઇમ્પોર્ટ એક્સપોર્ટની ગોળી પી ગયો હોય ને એવું લાગે આપણને. અને પછી એ જ બોલ્યા કરે, એ જ વાર્તા કહ્યા કરે, કારણ કે એના ઊંઘતા જાગતા બધી જ બાબતોમાં એક્સપોર્ટ ઇમ્પોર્ટ આ તે હોય. In this way, Amit is appreciating and motivating, not only motivating, but providing proper knowledge and guidance to make some exports in more quantum to from India to abroad. So it's like a very young and dynamic Amit. And he is from India, but we can say he's the ambassador of Vietnam and managing more things at the platform. And it's our really proud to be an Indian, one of our chamber and our society, our business community to be there in Vietnam, representing India, having a large scale of business and exploring the various relationship, not for him and his family only, but many more businessmen like you. We would like to welcome German by Ramalia. Our guest at a very special event and interactive session and B2B meeting, where we will be taking about economic and trade opportunities with Zimbabwe. As you know, SGCCI taken Global Connect Mission 84. It is for nothing but to explore the opportunities for all of the businessmen here in the South Gujarat, and to reach from Surat to South Gujarat to 84 countries. એક સમય એવો હતો કે સુરતના બંદર ઉપર 84 દેશના વાવટા ફરકતા હતા. That means in huge quantum international trade was there, even in lacking of the technology and communication system at that time. પણ છતાં આપણા લોહીમાં એક ખમીર અને એક સ્પિરિટ હતો ટ્રેડ કરવાનો, અને છે આજે પણ. એ સમયે 15મી 16મી 17મી સદીમાં સમૃદ્ધ સુરત ની એટલી ખ્યાતિ હતી કે વિદેશોમાંથી અનેક લોકો, અનેક પ્રજા સુરત ગુજરાત તરફ આવતી હતી, ભારત તરફ આવતી હતી. They would like to have a trade with India. એ સ્પિરિટને અંગ્રેજો આવીને આપણને જે નાસીપાસ કર્યા અને આપણને જે ફ્રસ્ટ્રેટ કરી અને એક અંધારી ગર્તામાં ધકેલી દીધા, અને એમાંથી બહાર આવીને ઉપર ઉઠીને એકવાર ફરીથી આપણા જે બ્લડમાં, આપણા ખમીરમાં જે વેપાર છે એ બતાવવાનો સમય હવે પાકી ગયો છે. અને એ ત્યારે આપણે કરી શકીએ કે આપણા વડીલો જે કરતા હતા એ ફરીથી એકવાર આજના યુવાનો કરીને બતાવે કે વી કેન ડુ ઇટ. ભારતનું સામર્થ્ય ઓછું નથી, ગુજરાતનું સામર્થ્ય ઓછું નથી, ને સુરતનું સામર્થ્યની સાથે પરાક્રમ, સાહસ ઓછું નથી. એ બધા જાણે છે, પણ એ હવે ગ્લોબલ લેવલ પર એને એસ્ટાબ્લિશ કરવાનો સમય પાકી ગયો છે. એન્ડ ધેટ્સ વાય ધીસ વિઝન ઇઝ ધેર ફ્રોમ SGCCI. SGCCI આપની સાથે છે. જે કંઈ પણ હોઈએ તે આવા દરેક એમ્બેસીના કોન્સ્યુલેટ જનરલને એના ટ્રેડ ઓફિસર્સને અહીંયા બોલાવી અને આપને જે ત્યાં એપોઇન્ટમેન્ટ ઇન્ડિવિજ્યુઅલી ન મળતી હોય તે મેળવીને અહીંથી જેટલું કરવાનું છે એટલું આપણે વિના ખર્ચે, ઓછા ખર્ચે અહીંયા જ કરીએ. અને આપણા કોન્સેપ્ટમાં ક્યાંય પણ ખામી હોય, ખ્યાલ ન હોય, નોલેજનું લેકિંગ હોય, ઇન્ફોર્મેશનની અવેલેબિલિટી ન હોય તો એ કરી અને આપણે વેપાર વધારીએ. Bilateral trade between India and Zimbabwe is about $183 million. Export to Zimbabwe is 166 million and import from Zimbabwe is 5.4 million. The main products exported from Zimbabwe to India were raw tobacco of $4.62 million and tea 613,000 and vegetable tanning extracts 98.1. India diaspora in Zimbabwe about having 9,500 and GDP BPP as a 36 billion, growth rate is 4.8. Synergy between India and Zimbabwe. India and Zimbabwe have a long history of close and cordial relations. During the era of Muhammad Kingdom, Indian merchants established strong links with Zimbabwe, trading in textile, minerals, metals. Sons of royal and house of Muhammad journeyed to India to broaden their education. So many things are there, is there between India and Zimbabwe, which Honorable Excellency will show, and Amit will explain to you. But what I mean to and what I intend to say from the desk of this SGCCI is that now it is the time to be elected, to be committed to extend our trade. મિત્રો, આપણે જેટલું પણ આ વર્ષમાં 22-23માં કામ કર્યું હોય એને 23-24માં 50% મિનિમમ વધારો કરીએ અને 100% આઈ મીન ડબલ કરવાનો લક્ષ્ય લઈએ તો એમાંથી જે પ્રોફિટ ને જે ઇન્કમ આવવાની છે તમારા ખિસ્સામાં તમારા ઘરમાં જ જવાની છે. પણ એઝ એન ઇકોનોમિક સોલ્જર યુ શુડ થિંક ઓવર that income and that gross income will included in the gross GDP of India also. આપણે જે કંઈ કરીએ છીએ આપણા ખિસ્સામાં આવવાનું છે, પણ ઇનડાયરેક્ટલી એ ભારતના જીડીપીના વધારામાં એ ઉમેરાવાનું છે. એનો ખ્યાલ રાખીને આપણે એક ભારતીય સૈનિક જેમ સરહદ ઉપર કામ કરીને દેશને બચાવે છે એવી રીતે ધંધા વ્યવસાયમાં કામ કરીને આપણે આપણા દેશની જીડીપીમાં યોગદાન આપીને મેક્સિમમ કામ આપી અને દેશને એક મોટી સાઇઝેબલ વર્લ્ડની અંદર નામના થાય એવી એક સ્ટ્રોંગ ઇકોનોમિક પાવર હાઉસ બનાવવામાં આપણે યોગદાન આપી રહ્યા છે, તે આપણે ભૂલવું ન જોઈએ. આ બાબત પણ એટલી જ અગત્યની છે જેટલું સૈનિકો સરહદ પર ચોકી કરીને પોતાનો જીવ આપીને ભારત દેશની સરહદો બચાવે છે એવી રીતે આપણે જીવતા રહીને મહેનત કરીને અને એની કમાણી પોતાના ખિસ્સામાં મૂકીને પણ ભારતના ખિસ્સામાં જીડીપીમાં કોન્ટ્રીબ્યુશન આપી રહ્યા છે, આપવાનું છે. એન્ડ ધેટ્સ વાય વી નીડ ટુ થિંક ઓવર ઓફ બીંગ એવરીવન એઝ એન ઇન્ડિયન ઇકોનોમિક સોલ્જર. માત્ર સૈનિક બનીને સરહદ ઉપર હરવા જવાથી જ કામ થાય એવું નથી. ભારતમાં રહીને પણ આપણે ઘણું સારું કામ કરી શકીએ અને એટલે કોઈ પણ દેશને સામર્થ્યવાન બનાવવામાં સૌથી મોટો જો કોઈ ફાળો હોય તો બિઝનેસ કોમ્યુનિટીનો હોય છે. Unless and until you have an economically stronger, you cannot rule properly, and you may be dominated by any country who are powerful than us. અને એટલે મારી આપ સૌને વિનંતી છે કે ધંધા વ્યવસાયની સાથે સાથે આવો વિચાર પણ એક માઇન્ડમાં લઈ અને we need to have in a huge quantum a bilateral trade with many countries, including today we have Zimbabwe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the warm welcoming and with the very single line of note which we accept it. Until and unless we do have an economic strength, we cannot rule over. Actual intention of the ruling is different, not to rule by the different kind of governance, but it has to be a very cooperative governance which we always look forward as an Indian. Sir, we promised and we definitely take a note of your words. ગુજરાતીમાં કહીએ ને નાણાં વગરનો નાથિયો નાણે નાથા લાલ, રાઈટ? તો યસ, સાચી વાત છે. જ્યાં સુધી એ ઇકોનોમિક પાવર આપણી પાસે ન હોય ત્યાં સુધી એ દેશનું કે આખા વિશ્વ પર જો આપણે રાજ કરવું, રાજ એટલે બે રીતનું, જે હું કહેવા માંગતો હતો કે આપણે કોઈને દબાવીને મોટા થવાનું નહીં પણ સાથે રાખીને બધાની સાથે રહીએ એ રીતની એક આપણે સક્ષમ ઇકોનોમી માટે આપણે કાર્યશીલ રહીએ એવી જે પ્રમુખની નોંધ છે એના પર ચોક્કસ આપણે આગળ કાર્ય કરીશું એનું હું પ્રોમિસ આપું છું. સર, થેન્ક્સ. નાઉ today, since our distinguished guest and dignitary Sri Peter Hobwani ji is also with us, we as a chamber always remain note of that and we welcoming them through the flower felicitation which is our tradition. So I request the dais to please come forward and extend the floral felicitations to Mr. Peter Hobwani, sir.
Sari, ladies wear. gift at your home. Yes. So she would be very happy my wife on your visit.
Ready, sir? एक ग्रुप फोटो सर.
Our relation.
Thank you, Dash, for accepting the floral felicitations. Now, as we construct this entire forum by presenting what exactly the opportunity arises itself in Zimbabwe, and that too through from the Mr. Amit Mulani, that always we keep it. Now it is a custom, and that now it is part of SOP. That is always it is our standard operating process for this kind of event. So. Now I request Sri Amit Mulani ji to please take us through the Zimbabwe and the opportunity according to our eyes, and then we'll definitely take Mr. Peter Hupani that what would be according to him foreign Indians to be a partner with Zimbabwe. So first Amit Mulani ji, please present about Zimbabwe. Excellency, if we can, it would be easy for you to just read out.
Thank you so much, Paresh bhai, and good afternoon, everyone. Greetings to Deputy Ambassador from Kenya, Mr. Peter Hobwani. Okay, Zimbabwe. Going with the many countries, no? But presentation is of Zimbabwe only, huh? Okay. So, President Mr. Ramesh Vagasia, Jaman bhai, Kamal bhai, and all the different office bearers over here. As we have considered 3 countries yesterday, and today we are going to talk about the 2 countries, it is Zimbabwe and Kenya. Let me just start with some basic information about the Africa, that how Africa can be a good partner for us in the future when I am talking about the bilateral trade. So it is not about that what we have the opportunity there, but which kind of the opportunities inside the import from Africa, we are going to talk about this. So Africa, but obvious a big continent in the world with a large population, continuously increasing population, and when I am talking about the opportunity for India, obviously it is too large when I am saying India is a partner country, because the trust what we have mutually found inside the African countries, it is more than we can say another countries, and in that case ultimately we are very friendly people where we teach them how to grow, and we are learning also a lot from the Africa. One of the country with us is Zimbabwe. The country is from Southern Africa, and in the map we can identify the area of the country. It is a landlocked country, but obvious. Let me just give you the idea about the why Africa continent. Today we are talking about the Africa. Absolutely, when I am seeing the map, no, it is clearly visible that this is the continent and this is what Indian western coast. We have the direct connection with the eastern coast of the African countries. And right now, if we are moving through this way, we can identify a lots of potential over in the Western Africa also. We can say we have the direct access. If you want to export from China, you have to go through this route. But obvious it is longer than us. So in that case, ultimately we have the very good infrastructure. We have number of ports to be facilitated, and we have a sound kind of, we can say, freight corridors where you can transfer the goods to the port and then port to the any country in the world. And the map itself saying that India and Africa has very good geographical condition to match up and find out the opportunities. First of all, short transportation route, what I have shown you right now, one of the highest GDP growth in the world. There are several countries which has highest GDP growth. So there are several countries which has the growth higher than some kind of, we can say, European countries also. And so data is absolutely will give you the idea that in which country what kind of the opportunities with us. Abundant resources untapped, a big continent. If we are talking about the population, then it is not that much. If you are seeing this map, you will identify that कि जितना उसका मैप है उसके हिसाब से, बट ऑब्वियस है कि इतना पॉपुलेशन नहीं है क्योंकि उसका टोटल पॉपुलेशन के जितना तो हमारे पास है, बट फिर भी हमारे पास उससे 5 गुना कम जमीन है ना. तो अनटेप पोटेंशियल बहुत है इनकी लैंड में. And but obviously in that case we can identify lots of business over there when I am talking about the farming lands, or we can say cropping, and it is about the natural resources to be degraded. Yes or no? Highest growth of the population. Obviously African country is moving faster in the world. There are 54 countries in the Africa, and so it is a future opportunity for us to export the products to the Africa, to manufacture the product into the Africa, and after manufacturing the product, export to the another countries where they have the free trade agreements. These are the deeper thing. If we are understand it, absolutely we have a lots of opportunities to be tapped. Sustainable industrial growth amongst the world. Now they have become more safer, but obvious when you are setting up the industries over there, you will find out the more safety to you, because the government is personally focusing on these parameters, that how can we give the more safety to foreign investors in countries. And so this is what a future opportunity for us to establish the companies over there, or you can say to make a trading partners or trading areas over there. Like yesterday I got to know that 10 different kind of the SEZ areas over there जहाँ पे फ्री ट्रेड जोन FTZ, जहाँ पे आप यहाँ से प्रोडक्ट भेजो और फिर वहाँ से आप एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हो without any kind of the hindrances. Is that clear? And so this kind of the opportunities, if we find out, then we have, this is the gold mines. Underdevelopment opportunities are too good because, but obviously these are the underdeveloped countries. So as I told yesterday only, all sectors are open for us. If you are talking about the we can say any kind of the finished goods, if you are talking about the semi-finished, or if you are talking about the raw material, they are accepting everything. Yes or no? And so it is not like that कि इसको खाली फिनिश ही बेचना है, ये रॉ मटेरियल लेके क्या करेंगे. एंड सो मैंने एक एग्जांपल भी दिया था कल, राजकोट से एक कंपनी है, रसना सिसोड़ा मोकली मोकली में करोड़पति थी. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट अफ्रीका ओनली. देयर इज नो पावर, इज रन बाय डीजल, and they have the big potential market over there because sugar तो वहाँ पे होता ही है, sugar cane. So obviously छोटी छोटी प्रोडक्ट में भी अगर आप खाली कॉन्टिनेंट को पकड़ो तो भी बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं. एंड अंडर डेवलप है तो ऐसी कई प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जो हम तैयार करते हैं और जिनकी इनको रिक्वायरमेंट है. सो डेफिनेटली इन दैट केस वी जस्ट आइडेंटिफाई द मार्केट एंड वी जस्ट हैव टू पुट अवर स्टेप्स परफेक्टली इनसाइड द मार्केट. बहुत शॉर्ट टाइम में आप यहाँ पे बहुत सारा गेन ले सकते हैं. चलिए बात करते हैं ट्रस्ट ऑन द इंडियाज इंटेग्रिटी. एब्सोल्युटली यू ऑल आर नोइंग दैट द पॉलिसी इज राइट नाउ गोइंग ऑन चाइना +1, एंड वेयर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट कि नाउ दीज पीपल आर ऑल्सो नॉट रिलाइंग ऑन द चाइनीज. दे वांट दैट कि भाई तुम निकलो इधर से, हमको नहीं चाहिए तुम, क्योंकि इन लोगों ने पिछले 30 साल के अंदर ना बहुत खोद लिया इसको. एंड दे जस्ट गिविंग द काइंड ऑफ द बेनिफिट्स. इट इज अबाउट व्हाट, द बिल्डिंग्स एंड कंस्ट्रक्शन एंड एटसेट्रा. आई एम टेलिंग यू, दे हैव द वेरी स्पेसिफिक स्ट्रेटेजी टू टैप एनी कंट्री. आप उसको डेब्ट में डालो और फिर उसका पोर्ट ले लो. भाई अगर किसी का तुमने पोर्ट लिया तो कंट्री का हार्ट गया, और हार्ट गया तो सब खत्म. एंड दैट्स व्हाट वी हैव सीन विद श्रीलंका एंड पाकिस्तान, व्हाट चाइनीज हैज डन, एंड दिस इज व्हाट दे आर डूइंग कंटिन्यूअसली. बट अपन उसमें से नहीं है, वसुदेव कुटुंबकम ना. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वी पीपल आर इन द मिनिस्ट्री इनसाइड द अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज. And this is the bilateral relation we have developed since last 4-5 generations, and many, we can say, families are living since last 4 to 5 generations. And so Africans are definitely a future for India's export and import growth. If we are talking about specific bilateral relation with the African countries, then figures are saying that continuously since last 10 years we are increasing our figures in these countries continuously. And so it is saying that this market becoming every day a bigger market for Indian products. And let me just give you the idea about the same. Let me just give you the idea about the basic information about the Zimbabwe. The first one is independent in 1980. The common language is English, Shana and Ndebele, but obviously English is much knowing language. If we are talking about the total area, it is 3,90,000 kilometers square around. Population is 1.7 crore. So it is a good population. The growth is 1.76% per annum. So again we have the good market in that country. Religion mostly Christianity 79.2. Then after traditional belief and then Islam. But obviously and so people are knowing English very well. So GDP is around $38.15 billion when India is at $3.74 trillion. Per capita income is good. It is $2,191 where India is $2,612. Talking about the climate condition, then varies by the region, but generally has a rainy season from November to March and dry season from April to October. Neighbor countries are Zambia, Botswana, South Africa and Mozambique. So this is the landlocked countries, so coded by these countries. And currency is Zimbabwean dollar. 1 USD is equal to 322 Zimbabwean dollar. But obvious, I have also given the INR value. If we are talking about the population divide, 43.6% population living in urban, where 56.4% population living in rural areas. So, but obvious, again we have the target market because urban population is good. Labor force, mostly people are engaging with the agricultural activities, 63.4, 7.3 with the industry and 25.2 with the services. Indian population in Zimbabwe is around 10,000. So we have the good diaspora again. So we have the kind of the groups of the businesses over there, which are basically from the India. Literacy rate is too good, 89.70%, and so people are knowing English very well, the communication very well, and definitely you can connect them. Arable land is 10.3%, so again it has a very good area to, we can say, cropping a lots of products. We can identify as a, we can say, cropping products to be sourced from Zimbabwe and to be exported into the European countries and we can say American countries. Known for the lush wildlife and national parks, vibrant markets, friendly people, and absolutely they are too good when you are really with some kind of, we can say, your ideas with them, in front of them. Lake Kariba, then Matobo Hills, then Balancing Rocks and Chinhoi Caves. Sir, we have identified your tourist places. Victoria Palace. Victoria Falls. Okay, these are the major cities with the population. Harare is the biggest city ever and with the population of we can say 21 lakh and more. Then Bulawayo, then Chitungwiza, then Mutare and Epworth, etc. So more than population is we can say more than 2 lakh in every city. If we are talking about the internet users, then 57 lakh 40,000 internet user and it's to 33.76% of their total population. So it is good because if they are using the internet, then the connectivity will become easy for us and it is sound. If we are talking about the social media, 15 lakh people already connected with the social media. You will find out the people on the LinkedIn also from the Zimbabwe. And the business community, obviously, who are from the business, they all are knowing that how to connect to the world. It is 8.82%. It will increase with the time. If we are talking about the mobile connection, 1 crore 40 lakh mobile connection. So obviously, it is again 82.82% of the total population. So again, people are becoming more techy and it is good for us in future to connect them. Now this is the main dry ports in the Zimbabwe. It is Harare and Bulawayo. These are both the cities. Dry port, so most of goods been transferred to the Mozambique or we can say South African coastal line. Obviously they have the port line, but it is a land custom stations. But African countries are very sound in that case. If you want to transfer any goods from one country to another country, they have the very good bilateral trade and it's never got stuck, I am telling you. And so they have the sound connectivity to each other because they have the kind of the agreements between them. Let's find out the India's export to this country. As per the last year data, by 2020-23, India has exported worth of 1258 crore worth of goods into this particular country. And it stood at 119th rank in the world's total export from India. If you are talking about the exports since last 5 years, you can find out the figures over here and it is continuously showing that we have find out an increased growth rate and simultaneous rate into the Zimbabwe. And so what obvious, this is the good market for us. If we are showing the import, again you will find out that we have the continuous growth in that case and simultaneous market. So we are importing a lot of material. Last year we have imported around 75 crore worth of goods. But Zimbabwe importing from the world, it is about 67,000 crore, where India exporting 1258 crore. We can say that 98.13% market is yet to be tapped. So there are several product categories where we are doing a very less work. We have to identify those sectors where we are very profound, where we are very sharp, and definitely in that case we can identify Zimbabwe as a good market. Now let me just give you the idea about the positive growth commodities in 2020 to 23. Which are the commodities has the positive growth? I am talking about the positive growth. It is highest positive growth in the last year in context of the last to last year. So the first one is the sugar product. Last to last year it was exported worth of 13 lakhs only, but last year we have exported worth of 24 crore. So it is a moving sector. If we are talking about the special woven fabric, it is in 58 number. Then again we have exported needles like 2 lakh and something. But always remember, when I am talking about the good growth in the product, it has a very good market in future in this country. It might be today 2 crore, but after 5 years it will be 20 crore, yani 20 crore, or it might be 50 crore. We never know, because there are several products which has just exported by India in last 2 to 3 years. In many markets I am telling you. बिकॉज 4-5 साल से हमने चालू किया ना अच्छे से एक्सपोर्ट. बाकी फिगर क्या था अपना, अब 2020-21 का फिगर देखो इंडिया के एक्सपोर्ट का, इट वाज अराउंड 22-23 लाख करोड़, एंड द लास्ट ईयर फिगर इट इज 22-23, इट वाज 35 lakh crore. Boss, it is showing that how we are moving faster into the international market, and the desire with the manufacturers and young entrepreneurs to enter into the foreign markets, absolutely ये आपको आगे बहुत और मार्केट में लेके जाएगा. और ये डिजायर की बदौलत ही तो हम कई सेक्टर में ये देख रहे हैं, पहले कुछ नहीं था, धीरे धीरे चालू किया, एंड राइट नाउ वी आर मूविंग वेरी फास्टर विद 1000% ग्रोथ, एंड दैट्स व्हाट द स्टोरी बिगिन. Yes or no? Let me just give you the idea about the copper and articles. Again we have last year exported worth of 10 crore, earlier it was just 1 crore. Again the 783% growth. Cereals, again it is 25 crore, earlier it was 3 crore. Articles of the apparel and clothing, it is 61 number chapter. Again we have exported worth of 3 crore last year, earlier it was 53 lakhs only. And that's what the story. Guys, these are all those chapters where we are moving faster, and you can identify that articles of the clothing, but obvious it is one of the great product to be pitched in this African market. And we are from this city where we manufacturing a lot. Yes or no? We just have to pitch the market properly with their requirement. It's very important. उसको भड़कीले कपड़े चाहिए, प्लेन देंगे तो नहीं चलेगा. And that's what we have to understand before we enter into the market. If we are talking about the different kind of the product with, we can say highest exported commodity. Now these are the figures showing that India's highest export. If I am talking about the top product, it is pharmaceutical. Obviously this is the highest exported product all over the African countries, I am telling you. And last year we have exported worth of 596 crore. And obviously I am talking about the most of retail counters. When I am talking about specifically plastic product, again we have the good market with 81 crore export last year. Vehicles and other products like two-wheeler and four-wheeler, 81 crore again. If you are talking electric machinery and equipments, it is 36 crore, because it is growing market now. Electricity been generating slowly, so they are importing lots of equipment regarding to the, we can say, electricity, and in that way we have finding a good market in future. Cereals, again I have shown you earlier, it is 25 crore worth of cereals we have exported last year, and these are all those commodities. I have highlighted those commodities which products are actually manufacturing in India a lot, or it's producing in India. Yes or no? These are all the highlighted, we can say tabs. हो सकता है कि बाकी की प्रोडक्ट में हम इतना काम ना कर रहे हो, बट ये हाईलाइटेड जितने हैं ना, ये वही प्रोडक्ट्स है जो इंडिया के अंदर बहुत अच्छे से बनते हैं. So these are all the positive and we can say highest exported commodities in this country. चलो बात करते हैं फोकस प्रोडक्ट के ऊपर. अब ये जितने भी चैप्टर हमने देखे ना, उसमें से मैंने कुछ फोकस प्रोडक्ट निकाला है जहां पे हमने ग्रोथ भी अच्छा देखा है और हमारे लिए आने वाले टाइम में ये परफेक्ट मार्केट हो सकता है. लेट मी जस्ट गिव यू द आइडिया अबाउट दिस 5 प्रोडक्ट. द फर्स्ट वन इज अ फार्मास्यूटिकल, जिसमें हमने लास्ट ईयर एक्सपोर्ट किया था 596 करोड़ का, सीरियल्स में 25 करोड़ का, प्लास्टिक में 81 करोड़ का, व्हीकल में 81 करोड़ का, एंड वेजिटेबल टेक्सटाइल फाइबर्स. दिस इज अ न्यू थिंग वेयर वी हैव एक्सपोर्टेड वर्थ ऑफ 25 करोड़. And let me just give you the idea about the 8-digit products in this particular chapters. Chapter number 30, it is about the pharmaceutical. You just see the growth. It is continue market, variable but continue. There is no downgrade. We have find out that particularly 596 crore worth of pharmaceutical product we have exported last year. Let me just give you the idea that which are the products being exported, and it is showing that the highest one is the other medicine put up for the retail sale, and the value is 457 crore. सीधा कुरियर करो पार्टी को और वो सीधा मार्केट में बेचेगा. सिंपल सा फंडा. यस और नो? नो कोई लंबी चंबी माथाकुट है, नो कोई प्रोसीजर है, ना तुमको पोर्ट से जाना है ना रूट से जाना है, इधर से सिंपल कुरियर करो. इज दैट क्लियर व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू? एंड इट विल बी डिलीवर्ड टू द सीधा मेडिकल स्टोर and they can directly sell this product to the local market. The second one is the vaccine for the human medicine. It is 46 crore. It is a chemical contraceptive. Again, it has a very good market, 36 crore. Then after containing the antibiotics and different kind of the medications, where we are finding a very good growth over there. And just check this figure, it is showing that almost positives are there. Very few are negative. And if you finding out in that way कि कौन सी प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी में हम फोकस करें तो बड़ा मार्केट हो सकता है, उनके नीश को समझ के, तो एब्सोल्युटली एक प्रोडक्ट में भी आप चाहे इतना काम किसी एक कंट्री में भी कर सकते हो. दैट्स व्हाट आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर. लेट मी जस्ट गिव यू द आइडिया अबाउट द चैप्टर नंबर 10. इट इज अबाउट द सीरियल्स. अगेन वी हैव लास्ट ईयर वी हैव एक्सपोर्टेड वर्थ ऑफ 25 करोड़ एंड द हाईएस्ट एक्सपोर्टेड प्रोडक्ट वाज मेज सीड, सॉरी semi and volume milled rice. So African market is too good for the rice. It was exported worth of 25 crore. And then after a different kind of the products we are seeing over here. Then after it is 39 chapter, plastic and articles, 81 crore, continuous growth. In 2018-19 we have exported a lot, but after that pandemic is going on, and then again we have we can say continue our pace. If we are talking about the all plastic product, then plates, sheets and etc for the polymer been exported highest of 20 crore. And we are manufacturing a lot. Yes. The second one is the article of the conveyance and packaging goods. It is again 8 crore. It is polyethylene having a specific gravity. It is 2 crore. And these are all the different products which has the very good potential, more than 1 crore. It is about the plastic. If we are, plastic, we are the second largest manufacturer in the world, in the plastic. And दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा प्लास्टिक का ट्रेड फेयर इंडिया में होता है, जिसको प्लास्ट विजन. इससे बड़ा ट्रेड फेयर पूरे वर्ल्ड में प्लास्टिक का कहीं नहीं होता. सो वी आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑल काइंड ऑफ द प्लास्टिक प्रोडक्ट्स. लेट मी जस्ट गिव यू द आइडिया अबाउट द 87 नंबर चैप्टर. इट इज अबाउट द व्हीकल्स. लास्ट ईयर वी हैव एक्सपोर्टेड वर्थ ऑफ 81 करोड़ एंड द मेन वी कैन से प्रोडक्ट वाज विद 15 करोड़. इट इज अबाउट द ओनली कंप्रेशन ignition internal combustion piston engine of diesel. I think this is the kind of commercial vehicles which is made by Tata and Mahindra वगैरह, commercial vehicles. And then after it is about the gross vehicle weight, जिनका 5 टन से कम का weight हो. And but obvious 2-wheeler and 4-wheeler के लिए भी ये मार्केट अच्छा है. So it is worth of 81 crore. Talking about the 53, it is 25 crore export, vegetable textile fibers. And so the main exported product was unbleached woven fabric of the jute, other textile bast fiber. And it was worth of 25 crore. Emerging market for the different kind of the niche products. Yes or no? We have to understand their requirement, their choice, and if we identify them, then absolutely these are the biggest market in future. आप लिख के ले लो, अगले 10 सालों में will find out 5 time growth in these markets. 5 time. And there are several parameters. They are been educating themselves. And so they are knowing that where world going on. जैसे जैसे एजुकेशन बढ़ेगा, उनकी समझ बढ़ेगी, धंधे की समझ बढ़ेगी, तो ऑब्वियस कनेक्शन के साथ साथ वो बायलैटरल ट्रेड में भी आगे बढ़ेंगे. Yes or no? And India will become a great partner to them. Let's find out the world's export and opportunities for India. In the different sectors or different chapter, how much they are importing as a total amount and what we are exporting to them. I have identified the untapped potential market with the percentage. Like in which chapter, how much percentage untapped potential markets available inside the Zimbabwe. And let me just give you the idea. It is amazing. You just see. मैंने यहाँ पे 2 नंबर से लेके 99 नंबर के चैप्टर रखे हैं. चैप्टर इट इज अबाउट अ वॉल स्टोरी ऑफ नंबर ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स इनसाइड. बट लेट मी जस्ट गिव यू द आइडिया, मतलब ब्रॉड वे. इट इज सेइंग दैट सेकंड प्रोडक्ट इज फिश एंड क्रेंसेंसिस. इज दैट क्लियरली विजिबल? They have imported worth of 117 crore from the world, but we have exported nothing to them in the last year, and we are producing a superior quality fish and prawns product. इसका मतलब भाई साहब उनको दिखा ही नहीं है. जो दिखेगा नहीं वो बिकेगा कैसे? क्योंकि अपना ध्यान तो यूएस, कनाडा, न्यूजीलैंड के ऊपर ही है. हमको तो यही लगता है यही मार्केट है, इसके अलावा तो दुनिया भिखारी है. But it is seriously not like that. These are the real potential countries. I am telling you. You just try to sell your flip-flop inside the UK and buyer will ask, सर कितने में दिया? बोला 500 में. 200 में मिलता है. मेरा भाई का ही शॉप है सूरत के अंदर. And you just go to the Zimbabwe, buyer will ask, कितने में दिया? 500 में. Beautiful product, लो. They haven't any idea about the product, boss. Is that clear what I am telling you? So don't think that economy अच्छा है तो ज़्यादा पैसा मिलेगा. It is not like that. It is not absolutely like that. How you are pitching your product to the market, this is what very important things to be observed. Let me just give you the idea about the another products. You just see this top 8 जो भी HS कोड है उसमें से कुछ नहीं किया है. बाकी नीचे आप आओ, बाजू में परसेंटेज देखो. By 100% and above market is खाली. लेकिन 100% तो ऊपर नहीं हो सकता, but 90% and above market is खाली. And I am talking, this is what import of them in crore, and these are the real figure, boss. ये मेरे कोई घर के फिगर नहीं, आपको अच्छा लगे इसलिए रखा है. Is that clear what I am saying you? China +1 या China plus की जो पॉलिसी है ना, उसमें सीधी सी बात इतना है, they are finding another sources, and if you can be a source for them, I am giving you the assurity where they will slowly denying a Chinese product. That's what today's African countries. They're fed up with the Chinese. But you have to be compatible with the Chinese product. You have to be ready with all the compliances when you are entering into the any market. Is that clear? And so Zimbabwe is one of the great market to be tapped. You just find out it. These are all the highlighted product where we are very good and we exporting them a lot, but then also it is nothing in front of what they are importing. These are all the products. Sugar, even sugar, we have exported last year 24 crore worth of, but they have imported 210 crore. If we are talking about the beverages, again see, we haven't exported anything, but they have imported around 293 crore worth of beverages from the world. You just find out the tobacco, you just find out the pharmaceutical, they have imported around 1900 crore. Fertilizer, 3500 crore, we have exported what? 17 lakh. Again a big market. We are the big, we can say, producer of the fertilizers. These are all those different kind of the products, soap and organic, miscellaneous chemical. मैं वही product को highlight कर रहा हूँ जो हम बहुत अच्छे से बना रहे हैं. Then articles of the leather and saddlery products, pulp of the wood and etc., paper and paper board etc. This is about the silk. ये यहाँ से chapter अपने चालू होते हैं. Silk, wool, cotton, other man-made fibers. Just see the growth and what kind of the opportunities with us. Just check it out. Yes or no? 61, 62, 63, it is apparels. Just check it out. It is more than 90%. Again, it is umbrellas, ceramic product, again see, ceramic, 97%. They have imported worth of 377 crore, and being the largest manufacturer and exporter in the world, we have exported worth of 11 crore. So we haven't represented anything till the date. क्योंकि हमने मार्केट के तौर पे इनको देखा ही नहीं है ना, प्रॉब्लम ये है. And these are all the different kind of the chapters, boss. So we can say that are lots of opportunities. If I am talking about the India's import, then last year we have imported worth of 75.24 crore goods, and Bird Office it is saying that most imported commodities were tobacco 58 crore. Second one is the other black tea 6 crore, then nickel 4 crore, and then wattle extract 3 crore. So most often we are importing a tobacco and kind of the natural resources because they haven't any kind of the manufacturing. Is that clear? And so these are the imported products. But in future we can increase our bilateral trade with these countries. And these are a different kind of the product we have imported last year. Obviously in future you can identify those products and you can import a lot. Yes, in that case we have the bilateral opportunity. Na? It is not about the only export, it is about import also. If we find out there are several products as a raw material we can import, then yes, absolutely, if available then we can. Now let me just give you the idea about the helpful bodies for the bilateral trade. See, in any country you haven't any relatives over there, there is no question for this. There is no requirement of relatives because बस इससे बड़ा रिलेटिव कोई हो ही नहीं सकता. इससे बड़ा रिलेटिव क्या होता है? It is Indian Embassy. And we have the 130 Indian embassies all around the world who are serving with 170 countries in the world. तुमको क्या चाहिए? अब बोलो ना इंडियन एम्बेसी को. तुमको जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए आपको देंगे. If you want to visit that country, connect with the Indian embassy and Zimbabwe embassy in India also. So serve with us. You just connect them. You just give them a plan that what exactly your idea about the country, and they will set a full itinerary about you. हाँ पैसा नहीं देगा भाई ये तुम्हारा वही, but they will give you all the idea that where you have to stay, कौन से एरिया तुमको सर्च करने चाहिए, कौन से सिटी में रहना चाहिए, कहाँ कहाँ पे इसके मार्केट्स है, आपके वहाँ के जो डायस्पोरा है उनको मिलाने का काम ये करवाते हैं, वहाँ की चैम्बर से मिलाने का काम ये करवाते हैं. अब एक विजन लेके जाओ तो सही. Yes or no? And so this one is the biggest ever, we can say, helpful body in any countries. Indian Embassy, the details are given over here, contact information is given, embassy's email address are given, and Mr. Vijay Kanduja, he is the ambassador in, we can say, Zimbabwe. Yes or no? Directly connect them. You just mail them, you'll find out the answer. If we are talking about the bilateral trade agreements, free trade agreements, then absolutely Zimbabwe has a lots of free trade agreements. There are the 2 pages. And I told you yesterday only, see, all the developed country has signed a free trade agreement with the African countries because they want कि उनका डेवलपमेंट हो. एंड ये डेवलपमेंट की बदौलत उन्होंने क्या किया है, कोई प्रोडक्ट आपके कंट्री से हमें एक्सपोर्ट करो, हम उसके ऊपर ड्यूटी नहीं लेंगे. एंड दिस कंट्री इज नाउ गिविंग द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू अस दैट यू कम हियर, यू इन्वेस्ट हियर, यू प्रोड्यूस हियर, एंड लेट्स एक्सपोर्ट टू द डिफरेंट कंट्रीज विदाउट ड्यूटी. Yes or no? And the internal collaboration in that way, they have the mutual agreements in between all the 54 countries that you are transferring goods from one country to another country, there is no duty. It is after African free trade agreements. Boss, you just get the knowledge and you see what kind of the opportunity with us. हम बनाते सब कुछ है, ऐसी कोई प्रोडक्ट नहीं है जो हम बना नहीं सकते, but we just have to identify the market properly and absolutely you will find out a world as a potential market to be deep. अभी समझ के चलो 90% से ऊपर का मार्केट खाली है अपने लिए पूरे वर्ल्ड में. बस आपको खाली प्रॉपर स्टडी करके आगे बढ़ना है. एंड दैट्स व्हाट अबाउट द टुडेज प्रेजेंटेशन. थैंक यू वंस अगेन फॉर hearing me patiently. And if any kind of the help you require, then you can connect me. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit bhai. I think you might have seen the entire presentation, and every time after Amit bhai's presentation, I'm having one or some other things which we need to say. એમના ડેટા તમે જોયા ને, એમાં ફિગર્સ ને બધી વસ્તુ તો નો ડાઉટ બિંગ અ બિઝનેસમેન અથવા એન્ટરપ્રિનર તરીકે તમે નોંધ કરી દીધું હશે. એફટીએ જે છે ને એ બહુ સમજવા જેવી વસ્તુ છે, એટલે હું 2 મિનિટ ખાલી એના બાબતે વાત એકદમ આપણી સ્પષ્ટ ગુજરાતીમાં દેશી ભાષામાં બીજી વસ્તુ સમજાવીને તમને કહેવા માંગુ છું. ફ્રી ટ્રેડ એગ્રીમેન્ટ જે છે ને એનાથી જે બેનિફિટ થતો હોય, એટલે એક આપણે બીજી બધી પ્રેક્ટિસમાં છે ને ફ્રી ટ્રેડ એગ્રીમેન્ટ જ આપણે કરીએ, પણ આપણને ખબર નથી ફ્રી ટ્રેડ એગ્રીમેન્ટ એટલે શું. થોડુંક સમજાવું. સપોઝ મારે કોમલભાઈનું કામ છે, કોમલભાઈને હું મળવાથી મારું કામ થઈ શકે એમ છે, પણ મારા એમની સાથે ડાયરેક્ટ એક્સેસ નથી. પણ મારા અમિતભાઈ મુલાની સાથે બહુ સારા સંબંધ છે ને મને એટલું ખબર છે કે અમિતભાઈના કોમલભાઈ સાથે બહુ સારા સંબંધ છે. તો હું કોમલભાઈ પાસે સીધો જઈશ કે અમિતભાઈને કહીશ કે તમે મને કોમલભાઈની સાથે મુલાકાત કરાવો. એક્ઝેક્ટલી. બીજા સંદર્ભમાં છોકરા છોકરી પરણાવીએ છે ને આપણે ત્યાં, તો સીધા વેવાઈને ત્યાં જઈને કહીએ કે ભાઈ અમારે ત્યાં છોકરી છે ને તમારે ત્યાં છોકરી બોલ કરવું. આપણે પેલો વચ્ચે એક પેલું શું કહેવાય ને કારભારી એકબીજો હોજીએ, બરાબર, એ જઈને ત્યાં કે રાઈટ. આ FTA એ જ વસ્તુ છે, ફ્રી ટ્રેડ એગ્રીમેન્ટ, કે જ્યાં તમે તમારે પહોંચવું છે બીજી બાજુ પણ તમે ત્યાં પહોંચી શકો એમ નથી, પણ તમને ખબર છે કે ત્યાં જે પહોંચેલો છે ત્યાં હું ઇઝીલી પહોંચી શકું એમ છું, તો પેલાને ભાઈબંધ બનાવીને ત્યાં સુધી પહોંચાય. આ ફ્રી ટ્રેડ એગ્રીમેન્ટ છે. અમિતભાઈ, am I right or wrong?
Absolutely. And we are very fortunate, sir. We have more than 67 plus free trade agreement. This is the highest in the
બીજું
world.
જે આપણે વાત કરી ને એમાં બીજી અલગ અલગ જાતના ફ્રી ટ્રેડ એગ્રીમેન્ટ, એટલે અલગ અલગ તરીકેના. એટલે આપણે મેં કીધું કે મારે કોમલભાઈનું કામ છે તો બિઝનેસ પર્સપેક્ટિવ છે, પણ આમનું કામ છે તો કે ભાઈ મારે છોકરા છોકરી પરણાવવા પર્સપેક્ટિવ છે, ત્રીજાનું કામ છે તો કે ભાઈ મારે કંઈક સોશિયલ એન્ગેજમેન્ટ માટેનું કંઈક કામ છે. તો અલગ અલગ કાર્ય માટેના અલગ અલગ ફ્રી ટ્રેડ એગ્રીમેન્ટ જે થયા હોય ને એને ટાર્ગેટ કરી અને એ કન્ટ્રી સાથે કોણે કર્યા, જો ધારો કે આપણે નથી કર્યા તો એવા વ્યક્તિને શોધી અને ત્યાં સુધી પહોંચવાનું એક અથવા બે પગથિયા કે ત્રણ પગથિયા હોય ને, ત્રણ પગથિયાનો લાભ લઈ અને તમારે ત્યાં સુધી પહોંચવાનું હોય. અલ્ટિમેટલી એન્ડ ઓફ ધ ડે સી વોટ વી અર્ન, એન્ડ ટુ અર્ન વોટ વી આર inputting, that is only the things behind, and this is only the objective of the chamber, to guide and educate and support our entrepreneurs. Friends, one more thing I also would like to tell you, that we are calling all these ambassadors, all this few of the business delegates also, so that they can interact with our businessmen. But apart from that, see, we are having a very process design. We have a very process, blueprint for the Mission 84, which right now we have already done it, and we have started page 1, page 2. But later on, this mission is going towards. I'll just give you one or two idea. કે આની અંદર જે હમણાં ડેટાનું તમને એનાલિસિસ કર્યું ને, કે સ્પેસિફિક ભાઈ ફિલામેન્ટ યાન, તો કે આ કન્ટ્રીની અંદર આપણે ગયા વખતે આટલું કરતા હતા, ગ્રોથ રેટ આટલો છે, એટલે આવતા વર્ષે કદાચ એ લોકોનું આટલા સુધીનું ડિમાન્ડ આવી શકે, તો આપણે પહોંચવા માટે બીજું આપણે આટલું વેચતા હતા કે નથી વેચતા, તો આપણે ત્યાં જઈને શોધી શકીએ. બીજું વર્લ્ડ વાઇડ એને કોણ કેટલું આપે છે એના ડેટા લઈએ છીએ. આપણી ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી સ્પેસિફિક અલગ અલગ કન્ટ્રીમાં કેટલું વેચાણ થાય છે એનું પૂરેપૂરું હવે પછીના જે બધા સેશન સ્ટાર્ટ થવાના છે ને મિશન 84માં, એ સ્પેસિફિક ચેપ્ટર્સ જે એમણે કીધા ને બધા 1, 2, 3, 68, એ બધા ચેપ્ટર ટુ ચેપ્ટર ક્લાસના લોકોને અહીંયા બોલાવીને એમને અલગ અલગ કન્ટ્રીમાં કેટલો સ્કોપ છે એ બાબતે પણ ગાઈડલાઈન આપણે કરવાના છે, જેથી કરીને અત્યારે તમે આવો છો તો યુ આર ગેટિંગ a generalized picture of the world, or a specific country even. But when next time we will going to call you, it would be a specific industry with the globe. You understand what actually I try to explain, so that you really get it. In chamber સાથે એન્ગેજ થવા પછી તમે કઈ ને કંઈક ₹2 તમારું એક્સપોર્ટ થાય, એ અમારું ઓબ્જેક્ટિવ છે. સો Thanks, Amit bhai. It was really very wonderful presentation. I seen it, and now I request His Excellency Mr. Peter Huvani to say on the part of Africa, Zimbabwe. Sir.
Do we have to run the presentation before or after? First.
Okay. So, Chitran, can you please play the presentation which I think video which he has sent it to us yesterday. Please off the light. વોલ્યુમ મોટું કરી.
Southern African countries, perfectly placed to levitate your business to a higher level. Invest in Zimbabwe, where transport infrastructure upgrades and modern telecommunication systems are making it easier to trade in Southern Africa and the rest of the world. Led by His Excellency Dr. Edim Mnangagwa, with his goal to make Zimbabwe an upper middle class society by 2030, Zimbabwe is truly open for business. Be part of a growing economy with a fast growing GDP, where development and progress can be seen throughout the land. Investing in Zimbabwe means growing with an economy with one of the richest and most valuable natural resources, its beautiful, peaceful climate, rich biodiversity, highly exportable, loving, resilient, and well-educated labor force. Invest where sound, efficient, market-based policies are in place which support long-term planning and investment, ensuring a conducive environment for attracting global and domestic capital. Such sound policies uphold the rule of law and provide a stable and fair legal, tax, and regulatory framework, making Zimbabwe your preferred investment destination. Through the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency Act and other investor-friendly legislation, Zimbabwe guarantees property rights and investment freedom that put your interests first. Through ZIDA's one-stop investment services centers, you can get access to turnkey solutions designed to easily set up in any venture in Zimbabwe. Invest in agriculture, including medicinal cannabis, or tourism, renewable energy, and our vibrant ICT industry. Invest in education, where our top-class universities, tertiary institutions, equipped with innovation hubs, are creating breakthroughs in science and technology. With Zimbabwe poised to become Africa's largest steel producer, you can take advantage of up and downstream business opportunities. ZIDA continues to work with the investor in order to make their dreams a reality through many structured arrangements such as private-public partnerships and special economic zone status for eligible entities that provide long-term shareholder value. We envisage macroeconomic stability to continue under two phases of our national development strategies, NDS-1 and NDS-2, towards a prosperous and empowered upper middle income society by 2030. And when all is said and done, let the call of the wild in our tourism sector guide you. Listen to the towering roar of the mighty Victoria Falls, expansive game reserves, and breathtaking scenery that proves we are indeed a tourist destination of choice. Zimbabwe is where investors unearth potential, a destination of dreams, where love radiates from 16 million smiles and lasting memories are created. Our beautiful Zimbabwe. Invest in Zimbabwe. Invest today.
Thank you. First of all, I have already been introduced. I'm the Deputy Head of Mission at the Embassy of Zimbabwe in New Delhi. I would like to first of all thank the Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry for inviting us, Zimbabwe Embassy and the other 4 embassies, to come to this event, Explore Africa 2.0, which of course you say is focused at exploring investment and cooperation with 84 countries. So we are glad that you have included Zimbabwe among those 84. It means you see a lot of potential. Yes, I would like to thank the president, of course, of the chamber, Sri Ramesh Pangasi, for this welcome, the warm welcome since we arrived yesterday morning, and throughout the day, the opportunities we had to visit some industries, and also to thank, of course, the MOC, Mr. Paresh Bhatt, CEO of SGCCI, who of course has been to the embassy to see us, and told us about this event in advance. So we really are glad that he came to see us and to invite us to this function. Yeah. So yes, I also thank Sri Amit Mulan, who sort of acted as the shepherd for this presentation, and he has given you so much data and the statistics that it actually makes my task much easier. Not being a specialist in economic affairs, but I think what he has given you gives you the background and the framework. So I'll just then focus on investing in Zimbabwe as a focus on what Zimbabwe has to offer. But it will be just filling in the gaps of what you saw in the presentation that he made. So, in terms of Zimbabwe-India relations, of course, as the president said, he also made my task a bit easier because he referred to the long history of association between Zimbabwe and India. And even though at that time maybe we were not known as Zimbabwe, but he referred back to the Monontapa Empire in the 14th century. And we all know from history that when the sailors, Portuguese and so on, discovered Africa, as it said, they were actually looking for a sea route to India. And so that was how we got connected. And of course, there was the president referred to the trade between the Monontapa Empire and the merchants from India, starting in the 1400s and so on, and also the connection between the empire and India, with the part of the family coming to India for educational opportunities. And of course, this story is told about the son of the Emperor Monontapa then, who in 1650 came to India and studied in Goa as to be a priest, a Catholic priest. Then after he finished his studies, he qualified as a priest and worked in what is now Mumbai. And so that connection has always been recognized as linking the two entities from all that time. Colonialism, of course, came later and linked us further through, of course, the migration of populations, maybe in terms of opportunities that were being given within the Commonwealth under British colonialism. But of course, you also saw that we gained independence in 1980, and this was much later than most other African countries. The reason being that Southern Africa, particularly Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa, had a bigger settler colonial population, and there was more resistance to independence, even when independence was granted generally to other countries, Zambia, Malawi, in the 60s. But in Zimbabwe, it had to be a liberation struggle to actually attain independence. And the liberation struggle benefited immensely from India's moral and material support. So we continue to be very thankful for that. And of course, relations were then launched more formally from 1980, leading to the establishment of embassies in both countries. So yes, that gives the framework, the modern framework now for cooperation. And in September last year, we held what we call the Foreign Office consultation between our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade and the Indian Ministry of External Affairs. So this is the forum that gives us the opportunity to review the status of our relations in terms of the agreements that we have, the MOUs that we have, and maybe what is the way forward. And so in that forum, it was clear, of course, we also looked at the trade figures that were actually demonstrated by my Sheba that show that really trade is much lower than the expectations in terms of our close relations, and that we should work on and improving that. And also I think he has done a good job by demonstrating that the best way to do that is by taking up the opportunities that he demonstrated that can help improve trade and investment across between the two countries. So I think that is the general framework. Of course, we have those MOUs and the agreements in various sectors, including the more recently prominent field of Ayush, where we want to cooperate in the area of traditional medicine and the other aspects of healthcare. So that was just one of the highlights I wanted to give. But maybe, as I say, with all this information you already have, my focus would be now on focusing on investing in Zimbabwe. Yes. Zimbabwe's economy, I think this has been partly demonstrated, is really dependent on fields. It's agricultural based, so agriculture is traditionally the mainstay of the country. I think you saw even in terms of the figures of the population that is in agriculture, followed by mining, and then we have also tourism, manufacturing, and others. So in terms of mining, Zimbabwe is abundant mineral resources, and among the few countries in the world to be blessed with having 60 tradable minerals, including the top minerals, some of them which are rare earth minerals, but some of those include gold, platinum, diamonds, coal, nickel, iron ore, copper, tin, and the new baby on the block which is increasing in importance, that is the lithium. I think we have among maybe the highest resources of lithium as of now, and this is an area where we really want to invite investors from India and other countries, because we certainly lack technology to develop the resources that we have. So starting with the agriculture, which we have said is the mainstay of the economy, it accounts for 12.1% of GDP and employs 67% of the population, as demonstrated in the video. It is dominated by tobacco cultivation. As you can see, we are among the world's largest exporters of tobacco, and this is an area where maybe as part of agriculture we want to invite investors. At the moment, you have also talked about China's penetration in Africa. So they have been in Zimbabwe and they have really also coming into that sector, but sometimes in the end you may not appreciate some of the methods they use. So we are very keen to attract other players in the agricultural sector who can maybe also look at transferring technology and beneficiating some of the products that we have. Because although we might export maybe second largest exporter after US of tobacco, but we prefer to also beneficiate and export beneficiated products. So this has been a problem so far with those who have come into the country in the area of agriculture. So agriculture also, we have the issue of climate change, whereby traditionally the seasons, as demonstrated, of maybe October to March were rainfall season, but we used to have a very predictable rainfall patterns where you would know that by the end of the season maybe you are likely to have a productive season that produces maybe whatever targeted products that you have in that sector. But with the coming in of climate change, we find that the seasons are now erratic, and you cannot now rely on just rainfall-fed agricultural season. So because of that, the government is now focused on looking for ways of improving the production methods. And we have identified that India is one of the leaders in this sector in terms of using technology to improve agricultural production. So just now, before I came here, I met one of the representatives of the agricultural sector who would really be very keen to explore further, because this is an area where we think we can benefit from technology on improving production and so on in the sector. Also, recently, India has been championing the idea of millet, reviving millet production. Traditionally, before colonialism, parts of the regions, like the region where I come from the southern eastern part of Zimbabwe, next to Mozambique. There, the maize crop does not grow well, but because of influences during, of course, coming in of colonialism, people had abandoned these millet grains, what we call the small grains, and gone for maize. But now maize it's becoming a problem because of the climate change. But these other millets are easier to actually cultivate and produce even when you have this erratic rainfall, because maybe they need just maybe 2 months of rain, and they are also, that's where we feel that we can also benefit from this leadership that India is taking in the area of reviving the millet. So also because of this climate change, there's been focus now on creating water bodies within the country, creating dams from rivers, because so far the rain might come, but it's heavy and it's short-lived. A lot of rain come, but it's not enough to sustain the rest of the season. But if you dam it, then you can then use it for irrigation purposes to cover up for the shortage. So we also welcome investors in the area of irrigation and of course other methods of making sure you produce high yield crops. So this is an area, as I already said, where we think we can benefit from India's technology. So coming to the mining sector, I've already indicated that we have 60 tradable minerals, and of course we have among the largest reserves of platinum, maybe second, third in in Africa, second after South Africa. And then also, of course, lithium, which is a recent kid on the block. We have vast resources. We don't even know yet the quantities that we have, but we are also keen to participate in the beneficiation of lithium, so that we know the world is leading towards reducing usage of fuel and so on, that issue of battery cars, electrical vehicles and so on. And recently I attended the Ashok Leyland's 75th anniversary, where they were really indicating to us the focus on going towards the EV area. So we think Zimbabwe can be a part of this trend towards electric vehicles through also, of course, beneficiation of the lithium that we have. And of course, maybe most of you here would know more famously the diamonds, since this is the diamond center of the world. That of course we've had Zimbabwean diamonds also coming to this region for beneficiation, and but the government recently came up with a policy that says, well, we want to beneficiate our raw diamonds within the country. So it's inviting. So I think this is an opportunity, because maybe some people here, because you are in Surat, might think, no, this will reduce the number of the quantity of diamonds we have here for beneficiation. But I think, as we said, take that as an opportunity for you to maybe move into Africa, because we also had reference to the Africa Free Trade Agreement. That agreement indicates that if a company comes to produce in any one African country, whether it's Zimbabwe or Malawi, if they have a certain threshold of local content in that production, I think now maybe it's about 46%, it means they can qualify for exporting free of duty. So if you set up and you reach the threshold of what is required in terms of local content, then you can export that product to any part of Africa duty free. And of course that will be an advantage to Indian companies that decide to take up this. So I actually invite those here in Surat who are in the diamond sector to also consider that as one of the opportunities that he's saying are there, but maybe people may not recognize them now, because obviously if you are used to do what you have been doing in terms of beneficiating raw diamonds, then you think any change means your business is affected. But there's also the possibility of opportunity of actually growing that business through investing in countries such as Zimbabwe that have the diamonds but would want to have them beneficiated in the source country. So that is just one area I thought mainly for this region can be highlighted. So Zimbabwe's main exports, as indicated in the video, include tobacco, platinum, gold, textiles and clothing, but not so much. We used to really be a big player in that sector, but this was affected partly because of the sanctions that we had to endure since 2001. But now we are trying to revive that sector, and so we also know that India is a leader in the textiles industry, and we would want textiles companies that would want to maybe come and set up shop there, and also still taking advantage of this FTA we have just talked about. So it's in any sector, it's not restricted to one particular sector. It means in any sector, if you are able to produce in an African country and reach the threshold of the local content, you can export duty-free in Africa. Apart from that, also in agriculture, we also want to encourage the chain between production and also beneficiation, including of agro-processing, then producing foodstuffs within the country and also exporting. But as I say, I might not have to keep on repeating, but in any sector, as I've said, it means if you are able to produce and reach the threshold, you can export duty-free to the rest of the African continent. So, as already indicated, the private sectors for investment include mining, manufacturing, agriculture, ICT, tourism, and infrastructure development, as was demonstrated in the video. In the manufacturing sector, the subsectors include clothing and textiles, leather and leather products, food processing, furniture, pharmaceuticals, paper and plastics, chemicals, metals, electrical, and the motor industry, among others. But as you can relate to that, these are some of the products that India exports to Africa and to the world. So as he indicated, it means there's a big potential there in Zimbabwe, either to export in or even to manufacture within. Because if already there is a shortage, like 100%, if you should set up shop, you start by satisfying the local market in Zimbabwe, then you work on exporting from there to other countries. So that's in the manufacturing. Here I can also point out the pharmaceutical, which where we recognize that, of course, India is known as the pharmacy of the world, and definitely has big advantage in terms of production of pharmaceutical products, as already also demonstrated. And we are very keen as Zimbabwe to invite the Indian companies in the pharmaceutical sector to also set up shop in Zimbabwe. I think I don't know whether the figures demonstrate, but I think most of our imports in that sector come from India. So it would be actually an advantage for an Indian company to follow that market, because if you know there's a market there, you go and set up and then increase it from that side. Yes, so pharmaceutical is big in terms of the gap that needs to be filled in. And yeah, in terms of manufacturing sector, really, why we really want to attract Indian companies, that the sector has been affected by the lack of long-term financing and of course obsolete technology. So investment opportunity exists in the resuscitation of existing industries as well as opening new facilities. As we are saying, before the sanctions, our companies were able to get lines of credit from maybe some Western countries and the international finance institutions. But since then, because of that, there has been a reduction in production because of lack of those credit lines. So if a company comes and sets up shop, then they are able to actually increase the capacity in that sector. The equipment exists, some of it is now obsolete, of course we need to provide. But maybe when I come to incentives, we also see the advantages that can come with coming to invest in an area where there's reduced capacity. So that will come in when I talk about the incentives. So in the agricultural sector, we've already said this is the mainstay of the economy, and I've already highlighted the areas, but some of them, apart from farm mechanization, which I said is also coming because of climate change, then irrigation, rehabilitation and development coming also from climate change problems, meat processing, fruit juice making, cotton lint process, timber farming, horticulture, which is really coming up. And Zimbabwe, I think some of you might have seen an article that indicates that Zimbabwe has recently become maybe among the largest producers of blueberries. And India is one of our target markets. Right now we are waiting for confirmation from the relevant authorities in India of the qualification of our products to come into India in terms of sanitary issues. So we've submitted that, and among those there would be blueberries and a number of other horticultural products. What we have seen is that sometimes the statistics that you get from your sources, they talk about what can be officially captured. But what we've also noted is that some of our products come to India through third parties. Like somebody imports blueberries into South Africa, but he then re-export to India. But when they do that, obviously they put a marker, because they now want to benefit from that product. They've imported it, they re-export to India. So we have seen products that are coming from Zimbabwe, but you don't capture them in the statistics as coming from Zimbabwe. Maybe you say from South Africa and so on, but because of this sort of third-party re-exportation of goods, so we would want to capture that market and make it direct trade between India and Zimbabwe, so that it's captured in the statistics that were indicated. So as I said, blueberries and the other horticultural products are some of those, and right now we are waiting for confirmation of psychosanitary acceptance in India. This might see a big boom in the exportation of such goods into India. So in the mining sector, I've already highlighted the sectors such as gold. Gold also has been one of our major sources of exports. But recently, because of the problems I have already highlighted of the sanctions and so on, I think some of you may have seen this video that came up about what was alleged to be some dealings going to Dubai and so on. So the government also, as part of addressing issue of currency fluctuation problem, is also maybe gone the route of coming up with the gold-based currencies like gold, coins and so on. But we know that is going to have resistance from, of course, the countries that have got the major currencies such as the US dollar and so on, because it's a new area. It's not like the cryptocurrency. I think it's more like having a reserve currency that is based on gold. And we have enough reserves to do that. But of course, the resistance is likely to come from those who have currencies that are dominating the world. So one sector that my Shepa, of course, highlighted was tourism. But as some of you from the floor pointed out, on that was missing the Victoria Falls, which is the main attraction. One of the 7 wonders of the world is Victoria Falls, which is in Zimbabwe. And really recently there have been attempts to make it more accessible. Yes. And with now we have in an international airport, we have now flights coming from maybe within the region, from Ethiopia, South Africa, Kenya, flying directly into Victoria Falls. So if you go to Zimbabwe on Ethiopia airline, and you can connect direct from Addis Ababa to Victoria Falls, and maybe stay there if you want to go to other places. Like those pointed out, of course, we also want to, he has done us a good job, because we also want to emphasize other tourism resources, resorts other than the big falls. So what he indicated there, including the Kariba, the national parks, and so on, are some of the tourism products that we want to encourage, to also indicate Zimbabwe's attraction in the area of tourism. So, but in that area of tourism also, apart from just visiting, we are also inviting investors who want to set up in developing tourism infrastructure, like hotels and so on, because we feel that to grow in the tourist sector, we need infrastructure development. And the invitations we have, especially recently with the coming up of medical fields such as Ayush and so on, that people can set up, especially big falls, for what is now being called the reverse medical tourism. Instead of people all coming to India, you can have Indian companies setting up in Zimbabwe and other countries and attract people who want to come as tourists and can also receive some medical attention. So definitely we are encouraging the setting up of such infrastructure projects in the Victoria Falls and in other, because you now have tourists not just coming from India, but somebody can come from the US, from UK, but they know that there's an Indian company that does this in Zimbabwe, so they can combine visiting the tourist resort and also taking advantage of those medical facilities that might be there. So in the infrastructure, of course, we know that infrastructure is a very important sector for any country. And in this, maybe I'll point out the issue of Zimbabwe being landlocked. Yes, the term that is now gaining popularity is land-linked, because as we saw on the map, we are in the middle of Southern Africa, and our roots traditionally have been from south, because Mozambique there were problems. But after the achievement of peace in Mozambique, we are now, our main route is the Beira corridor, and it's only about 370 kilometers from the Beira port to the border with Zimbabwe. And so we have a project now that it's creating linkages, because it's good to have a port. Every country would hope that they have a port, but if you are land-linked, as Zimbabwe is, you can also take advantage of the fact that not only do you want your goods to get to the port, but you also want them to be transported inland. because getting to Dar es Salaam or to Durban is not the end. As you can see, as your companies try to export even to DRC, you are told maybe sometimes your consignment is stuck in Beira because of some problems that might happen, like maybe in other seasons. So what is happening now is with the increasing of the linkages between Zimbabwe and Mozambique and other countries, Zimbabwe can now become a hub for redistribution of goods and services that come from abroad. This can include, of course, right now the focus is on fuel. Say fuel coming from Beira, going to Botswana, the other countries you saw as neighbors. Botswana and even South Africa now is expressing interest, although they have all that cost. But for the northern part of South Africa, they would actually benefit from getting fuel coming through Zimbabwe because it will be nearer to the northern part of South Africa, then Botswana, then Zambia, and also even DRC. DRC for the southern part, it's actually more linked to Southern Africa than Kinshasa and so on, which is on the west central side. So that project would see Zimbabwe become a distribution hub for things like fuel and also even goods and services that are intended for countries in the interior. So that also, of course, gets back to the issue that if your company sets up shop there, it means you have also distribution routes that are developed to go to other countries. DRC is a big country and they export almost everything. Right now they export things from Europe, but you are saying no, especially the southern part, they can benefit from linkage with Southern Africa. So if you have a company that is producing in Zimbabwe, and then exports can go to DRC for the southern part at least, and they don't have to export some of those products from Europe. So that is one of the advantages that we see. Also in infrastructure, we're also looking at the power sector. We do have a huge power deficit, and I think we have attended many meetings where your Minister of Power has emphasized that without power you cannot develop. You need power for almost any sustainable development. So this is an area where we also think we can benefit from India's technology in the power sector, particularly in the solar energy sector. So when your organizers asked me which companies I wanted to visit, I actually said I wanted to visit maybe solar related companies because this is an area where we think we can actually improve on our power sector without, of course, continuing the usage of fossil fuels. Because we also want to contribute, although we are not doing much in terms of polluting the ozone layer and so on, but we also want to contribute to the future of clean energy by already taking advantage and focusing on developing our sector, but focusing on the renewables. So that is one of the sectors that we are keen to exploit. And recently our Minister of Power was here for the ISA, and he discussed with the ISA Director General and the Minister of Power about cooperation in this area, and we'll be sending some technicians to go and find out where we can cooperate. So for companies that are in that field, this would also be one of the areas of potential, as he has been pointing out. So in terms of security of investment, I think which is every investor's worry is whether my investment will be guaranteed. So Zimbabwe, of course, guarantees a security of investors and investments through the constitution. It's a constitutional guarantee. There's legislation that makes sure that your investment is secured in terms of the law and of course in terms of also international conventions. So coming to the modes of investment, how an investor can move into Zimbabwe. There are three best ways. You can come in as a partner to a local company. Like now when we are having these meetings where maybe some buyers or some Zimbabwean entrepreneurs come for B2B meetings, you can have a linkage there and decide, well, it's better for me to go into Zimbabwe and partner with an existing company that is already doing something, because starting up in most cases in an environment that you don't know, it's I think most business people would find that a bit risky. But if there's a company that is already doing that and you are partnering with them, then it's easier, because you know there's something on the ground already. You are just adding to that and maybe bringing in your technology, working with the partner company in Zimbabwe. Also, of course, if you are adventurous, because I know Gujarat is the home of adventurous entrepreneurs, you can also go on your own to start a new company, but then you would need to get a lot of more information about setting up and so on, which is available through our ZIDA, the One-Stop Investment Center, which I will talk about shortly. And then, of course, you can also buy shares in the stock exchange. That one is a bit safer, because you just buy shares, maybe you keep on buying until you get to the stage where you feel maybe I have invested enough in the company for me to want to become maybe a major partner. Then you can move in with your shares already there. Then you are saying, well, I have so many shares in this company, I want to come in as a partner, and then maybe you come up with new ideas and new technology. So that is the third option. So talking about the One-Stop Investment Center, what has been happening previously was that investment regulations were housed in different government departments. So you would move to this one, they tell you, no, you need a license for this, then you have to go and get another license from another sector, maybe you spend 3 weeks moving up and down. But now the government decided, as part of attracting investment under the mantra of Zimbabwe is open for business, to open a one-stop investment center called the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency, ZIDA. So it is responsible for everything to do with investing in the country. When you go to their office, all the questions that you have, the answers should be in that office. You don't need to be referred to any other office. If they need to source information from another entity, they do it themselves. They don't send you to another entity to go and find out information about this. They get it themselves and give you the response themselves. So this has been really an advantage in giving investors comfort of knowing that if I go, maybe sometimes you want to go there, you say, I have 1 week, I want to go to Zimbabwe to see, explore investment opportunities. You end up spending maybe 5 weeks because you are moving from one post to another. But now the office can attend to your issues. Where they say maybe they come back to you, they should do it within 3 days. Not to say, no, wait for 6 weeks, then we'll come back to you. They are supposed to make sure that they give you all the information you want. By the time you come back to consider the information that you got, and then decide when you want to move in. So in terms of guidelines, also I have said, I have given how you can come in, but there are also guidelines for establishing different types of investment in Zimbabwe. The one where somebody is starting a new company, as I've said, it needs an adventurous person, but that one is called greenfield investment. It means you are coming in to start a project from scratch, and of course ZIDA gives you all the information you need about to start your project, in terms of registration, in terms of the investment options you might have, and you actually come back with all the information you need. But then the other one is what we call brownfield investment. That is similar to the one I said, you are joining a company that is already in that field and becoming a partner. That one is easier, of course, as I say. And then we have also guidelines for investment in what are called special economic zones. Special economic zones usually mean that you get incentives, and mostly your operations are duty free, particularly for the beginning of your setting up. So there are fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. if you come in to invest in a special economic zone, for the first 5 years, there is zero tax on all your operations, and you are allowed to bring your material equipment that you need to set up your company duty free. You bring it all in duty free, and you are exempt from tax for the first 5 years. In the second 5 years, you only pay 15% tax. If you also come in as an industrial park developer, in the first 5 years, you have zero tax rate. Then after 25 years, it's 25%. So this actually cuts across the sectors, whether it's tourism, whether it's manufacturing, you get all these exemptions. But it doesn't end with just exemptions of tax. It's also issue of exemptions from corporate tax. For the first 5 years, it's 0%, then 15% thereafter. And I think some indicated that they wanted to know the threshold for you to get a resident permit. If you want to invest and also to apply for a resident permit to be a resident in Zimbabwe, for investment of 50 million US or more, you automatically get a resident permit and you are given resident status. But for anything below 50 million, you get 5 working days of processing your resident permit. We saw the figure regarding the population of entrepreneurs of Indian origin, or what you call NRI, non-resident Indian. That is now around 10,000. This was not the case before the sanctions. I think we had a much larger population, but when the sanctions came in, some of them found that their business opportunities were becoming less profitable, so they migrated to other countries. Just like also some Zimbabweans, we have a migrant population now of almost 1.3 million, and that includes some non-resident Indians, some of them who had been born in Zimbabwe and they stayed there all their lives, but they moved out along with all other Zimbabweans. So now we are really trying to attract all diaspora Zimbabweans, including the NRI who may have moved to other countries. So we look forward to an increase in the investment from regions like here, because if you go and set up shop, it's much easier for you to attract, especially those non-resident Indians who may have moved out. They know there's an Indian company that came in, maybe also the language issue and of course the cultural link. They might feel actually incentivized to come back to Zimbabwe and work for an Indian company or work with if they are also investing. So I think the population of non-resident Indians in Zimbabwe can increase significantly through taking up some of the opportunities that he pointed out. So I thank you very much with that.
Thank you, Excellency, Mr. Peter Obwani. It was really I was feeling very interesting, reason being, he is covering almost all the sectors, right from, mining, then the agriculture, then the logistics, then the reverse medical tourism, and the cultural. Even he also tried to explain that now Zimbabwe is very safe. They are also promoting in terms of, banking systems and all that. Apart from that, I also would like to tell you one or two things which he has already covered, but significantly or more precisely if we can look at. So, there was a discussion yesterday that is regarding ECOWAS, Eastern Community for the, this Common Trade of East Africa. At the same time, there is a AFCFTA, I think, Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement that is done. So, if you have that kind of connectivity, wherein you can send your stocks to one place or your services to one place, and from that place you can move it to some other country, that is also very conventional as far as the 54 countries of the Africa is concerned. Right. Second thing, he also said, in spite it's a landlocked country, but the route, and now they are having relationship with the Mozambique and even the Tanzania, or even if you look at for the South Africa, everywhere from the any from the port wherein you can send your stock to Zimbabwe, that is also quite easy. And one more thing, what I studied earlier, that they have a very good connectivity within the African countries. Right from I mean there is a 3,700 something plus kilometers standalone logistics corridor, or they are having a road maps, and they are having a like our expressways. They are having 3,000 plus kilometers of that expressways from you can connect from the Ethiopia to even South Africa. So that kind of infrastructures they are rigorously working. They are having it also, and we have to take the leverage of this. Thanks once again, Mr. Peter Hupani, for the wonderful presentations. Now we are keeping this forum open for the interactions or one-to-one questions. I mean, if you have any questions pertaining to your industry for your to Zimbabwe ambassador, you can raise your hand and ask your questions. But I request each of you to have a very specific questions rather than having a more, because we are running very short of the time, back to back. After this program, we have at 2:30 again we have a program with Kenya, right? So my request, it's a humble request, please be specific with your question.
Thank you, Bhatt sir. Thank you very much. But I would like to request you and point out you that when you are doing this such a brilliant kind of initiative, so interaction time should be little more than these things. Then only people will get more knowledge and they will connect by heartily.
Please.
Moya to Surat, Mr. Peter, Your Highness. I am Anshu Thakkar from Navsari. Sir, first of all, I would like to thank you and your entire Holy Land, continent, to making a non-African people a millionaire. Whoever came to your land, your continent, including Zimbabwe, they have become richer and richer. But if you will see in depth, the people of Africa, they are not getting true benefit of that things. People are getting richer by doing trade with you, but your country and your continent is becoming poor and poor like that. I got the chance to visit your land, Holy Land, in 1819 when I was in Kenya for 1 year. So I have seen your beautiful Victoria Fall and your Mutare district, the diamond district of the Zimbabwe. So I was thinking that last year also you guys have produced about 4.5 million crates of rough diamond. And as you said right now that you guys are sitting on the platinum, gold and all the natural resources and these things. So despite of all these kind of great resources, I want to know that why your economy is getting beaten down and down every day. Everybody is know the currency valuation, devaluation of Zimbabwe dollar against US dollar, as well as you guys are sitting neighboring country of a very rich Zambia and South Africa and these things, Angola, and they are very rich country and economy also very growing. What is the problem? My question is, he's asking the specific question is this, and I have a really damn pain in my heart that why African people are still a job seeker and still a beggar somehow. When you guys are the friends, actually આ લોકો જે વર્લ્ડના 6th largest diamond rough producer છે, 6th largest. So why this is happening like this? Just kindly focus.
Just a second. I mean, before he replies, I request. I mean, if you can allow me to speak something. Sir, the common words in the economics, any book if you look at, for the two countries, one for the India even, and for the even entire Africa as well. The first word of any economic book, if you refer, the single line that Africa is the richest country where poor people's live. Only the reason, and the same was also applied for the India, where the richest country where the poor people's live. It is only because we are having a very good natural resources, and the same way they are also having. Earlier, now the scenario, I mean the paradigm is shifting from the old mythos where the poor people's live. Now the people's destination, their determinations, their reservations are altogether different. When earlier time, when your driver's son, I mean when you are having a driver, his son is not having the desire to become a driver of a bigger car, but he wants to own a car. That is the paradigm shifting in the blood of the India, at the same time in the Africa as well. So now we have.
Thank you very much. Yes, yeah, I think you have you have done me a favor by partly answering that. But yes, I see his passion and concern about the fact that yes, everybody refers to Africa as the richest continent, and but people are still poor and suffering, and he wants to know why. So my answer would be that well, as far as we are concerned, he also indicated that maybe India was in the same position, but you are getting out of that position now. You are becoming part of an economic power. How did you do it? This is what we want to know, because we want to follow India's lead and also ensure. But partly that has been partly answered by what I was saying about you mentioned rough diamonds. You say they come maybe to India and other Belgium and so on for beneficiation. It was one African president, I think it's President Museveni, who indicated that, well, if you send a primary product from Africa to Europe, they beneficiate it, and then they resell it to you at 10 times the price that you sold it to them. So that explains partly why the richest continent is still has poor people. That is part of it. I'm not saying that is the only reason. We hear other issues, of course, maybe people talk of corruption and so on. But that aspect also is important, which is why I said in Zimbabwe, for example, the diamonds that you have picked on, we are saying, can they be beneficiated in Zimbabwe? So if they are beneficiated in Zimbabwe, you not only create employment for the local population, but you make sure that you then sell the beneficiated product from Zimbabwe to other parts of the world. So that is one way. It's maybe a slow way, but it's one way of ensuring that we get out of this the poverty trap. So as I'm saying, we want to follow India's example, and now India is now the 5th largest economy, and I think the ambition is to become the 3rd, but maybe in the next 10 years or so. So that is also what we want to learn from and follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I also would like to add on 1 or 2 points, because see, this platform or this forum is not for the political threats and political discussion, but let me also make you aware. And for the betterment of the any countries, I mean, એની જે શરૂઆત જે હોય ને તે પોલિટિકલ રિફોર્મેશન અને પોલિટિકલ એપ્રોચ પર હોય. કઈ રીતના ટોપ લીડરશીપ વિચારે છે, કઈ રીતે ટોપ લીડરશીપ કામ કરે છે ને એના પર દેશનો વિકાસનું કાર્ય હોય છે. જે આપણે ત્યાં પણ હતું ત્યાં પણ હવે એ લોકોને ત્યાં પણ આખું પોલિટિકલ સિનારીઓઝ જે કરપ્શનથી ડેવલપમેન્ટ તરફ આખું થઈ રહ્યું છે, રાઈટ. અને એના બેનિફિટ્સ છે. આપણે ત્યાં પણ એમ જોવા જઈએ 45 ટ્રિલિયન US$ આપણે ત્યાંથી બ્રિટિશર્સ લઈને જતા રહીએ છીએ. એ જો આપણે ખાલી કેસ કરીને પાછવા માંગીએ ને તો અત્યારે જે 5 કરોડ ટ્રિલિયન ઇકોનોમીની વાત કરીએ ને 15 વર્ષ સુધી તો આપણે 5 કરોડ પર એમ જ રહીએ, રાઈટ. સો there are certain things, I mean, here we are not there to discuss on that, but yes, your point was very much valid, and I think he has given you the better answer on that. Any other questions on this part, please? So we are keeping, see, even we try to give a better time, and I assured next time even we would like to give a better time for the interactions as well. But interactions that we can, continue after this meeting. You can exchange your card, you can take his card as well and give your preference or something. I mean, if you want to discuss with him one to one, that can also be allowable, and it is permission. I mean, it is okay to us.
ખાલી ઇન્ફોર્મેશન આપી શકે કે ઇન્ડિયન પાસપોર્ટ પર તમારે વિઝાની જરૂરિયાત નથી, તમે ડાયરેક્ટલી ત્યાં પહોંચી શકો અને ત્યાં ઓન અરાઇવલ વિઝા લઈ શકો. એટલે ઘણી બધી કન્ટ્રીમાં એવું કંઈ કે બધું વિઝાની પ્રોસેસ છે. લાઈક અલ્જેરિયામાં ઓનલાઈન નથી. ગઈકાલે જેણે અલ્જેરિયાનું સેશન એટેન્ડ કર્યું એમ સરપ્રાઈઝ કે આવા ક્વેશ્ચન્સ કેમ નથી આવતા, એટલા માટે મેં ઇન્ફોર્મેશન માટે કે અલ્જેરિયામાં તમારે ફિઝિકલ કોપી મોકલાવી પડે, ટોગોમાં તમને ઓનલાઈન કોપી મળે, કેન્યામાં 1-4થી પાસપોર્ટ જ નથી, વિઝાની જરૂરિયાત નથી. અને અહીંયા પણ સેમ વસ્તુ છે કે જો તમે ઇન્ડિયન પાસપોર્ટ હોલ્ડર છો, તમે ડાયરેક્ટલી પૂછી જાઓ, ત્યાં ખાલી ઓન અરાઇવલ સિક્કો જ મારે છે એ લોકો. અને એ બધી વસ્તુ છે. યસ, થેન્ક યુ.
Thank you, Komalbhai. So I think with this we are concluding this session with very informal kind of vote of thanks to all the people who all the way come and come to attend this program even after their busy schedulings. We also would like to thank Mr. Peter Hopwani, His Excellency Zimbabwe, to be with us today and explain about the opportunities of Zimbabwe for our entrepreneurs. I am also delighted and very much thankful to Mr. Amit Mulani ji, who has presented and make us aware that what would be the third eye for the Zimbabwe and how we can approach. I also would like to thanks and express my gratitude to Mr. Jignesh Sangani and Mr. Jaman Ramolia ji, who since yesterday morning 7 till today and probably till today night, who escorts and take Sri Excellency right from airport to drop till airport. So I am also thankful to you and all the people, all the staffs, office bearers who guide us and support in terms of smooth conducting of this program, Explore Africa Part 2. I am humbly thankful to each of you and each of them for this program. Thank you once again and thank you very much. Looking very forward. Needless to mention that again at 2:30 we have a very good program with the interactions with the Kenyan ambassadors. So be here right time at 2:30. So we'll definitely take it forward. Thank you once again everyone.